Hi and welcome to this short video. I'd like to say how great it was working with you recently, and the purpose of this video is to follow up the session we've just had so I can show you how to get the most of what we covered. Now the purpose of this video is first of all to explain how you can review the content of the session. Secondly, to point out the challenges and obstacles you'll face as you try to apply what we covered. Third, to suggest a plan of action to begin applying at least some of what was covered. And fourth, to explain the resource I provided that will help you develop new productive behaviors. So you can review this session by getting hold of a copy of this document, the post-seminar supporting information and recommended reading list, which your group chair should have already sent you, which is why you're watching this video. Now in it contains a summary and explanation of the productivity improvement operating system I covered. You'll get a worksheet for setting a clear direction. There's a list of the productivity behaviors I covered. You'll get a summary of the key takeaways and a recommended reading list. So you'll also find information about how to get in touch if you'd like any more details about how to become even more productive. So the main takeaway from the session was do more important work in a more focused way, more often and for longer. That was the main thing, and I spent the whole session justifying and giving you the rationale and supporting behaviors to make that happen. Now, some of the challenges and obstacles you'll face include your workload. You're busy people, and when you go back into the workplace, you've got a big job to do, so it's quite easy to let that overwhelm you. Your old habits and behaviors. It's very difficult to make a new change, and it's possible, it's straightforward to do that, but it will be a challenge. So you may revert or find yourself reverting to your old habits and behaviors, particularly if you're under a bit of pressure. Other people getting in the way, some people are susceptible to the ridicule of others, which is why the importance of the growth mindset was really emphasized during the session. Other things, a lack of clarity about what to do and maybe no clear plan of action. I'm going to give you a plan of action in this short video. Now, you can do it. Develop a growth mindset. That's why it's such an important component of the productivity improvement operating system. And get your colleagues in the group and your colleagues in your workplace to hold you accountable. That will really help you develop these new behaviors if you explain to them what you've done, what you've learned, and what you're trying to achieve with your new behaviors. Now, here's a suggested plan of action. First thing is review the supporting information and recommended reading list document that you will have been sent by your group chair. Secondly, pick one of the behaviors from the productivity tools which are listed in that document. Then use the setting a clear direction worksheet that's in that document to set up your new behavior. And I'm going to show you how to use that shortly. And finally, practice your new behavior until it becomes a habit. Now here's the productivity behavior worksheet for setting a clear direction. This is in the document that I've referred to earlier on. And these are the 7 steps to creating a clear direction. And I just want to work through an example that will give you a flavor of how to use this document, and you can just print this off whenever you want to instill a new behavior. So let's say, for example, you wanted to handle email more effectively. One of the behaviors I recommend is limiting the time you spend checking it to just 2 blocks each day. So that's the behavior that you're going to choose. That's stage 2. Now stage 3 is all about identifying the obstacles. This is about developing realistic optimism. So the more realistic you are about the challenges you'll face, the more likely you are to achieve what you set out to achieve. So getting very clear on what those obstacles are is really important. So that might be fear of missing emails if you're only going to allow yourself access to your emails in short blocks during the day. You might be susceptible to the influence of your colleagues whose expectations of instant response might be somewhat overwhelming sometimes. And you might have your own addiction to keeping your inbox clear that means you're constantly in there. So those are just some examples that you may find with this. Now the next thing is the mental contrasting. So stage 4, the first thing is, the best way of doing this is, first of all, is what's the pain associated with staying where you are? So that might be staying a slave to your inbox, that might be remaining constantly distracted, that might be only progressing trivial work. So feeling the pain of that is going to propel you forward because we are driven by pain and pleasure. So looking where you want to go, when I develop this new behavior, then the benefits will be, for example, feel more in control of my work, get more important work done, and be more focused in my work. The more you can get very, very clear on those 2 points, the pain of staying where you are with the pleasure of where you're going to go, the stronger you'll create what's called, you'll compel yourself to act. and the compulsion to act from this will move you forward to actually instill the behavior more effectively. And then the key thing here is stage 5. This is the secret sauce of this process, the if-then process. This is the implementation intention, which has been proven time and time again to be the most effective way of stating your goals such that they are going to be achieved. So here's an example using the email. So if it's 11 a.m., then I'll process my inbox for just 30 minutes. Now, because I'm suggesting 2 blocks of time, you might also say, if it's 3 p.m., then I'll process my inbox for just 30 minutes. Now, you could leave it at that. One of the things you could do to make that even better is you might say, if I open up my email, then I'll set a timer for 30 minutes. So you're starting to use this process to set up the criteria such that that 30 minutes is adhered to. And then to strengthen this even more, if my timer goes off, then I'll go back to my main thing. Now, one of the things I'll caution you in here is trying to do too many if-thens, because you start to dilute the impact of it. With this particular example, all these if-thens are about a particular behavior. So nesting them like this is going to be more effective, but just beware of trying to do too many things at once using if-thens. So that's the 5th step of setting a clear direction. The 6th step is an affirmation. The 7th is what doing looks like. Now, you could leave it here and not bother doing these, but I share this with you because all these stages are, the accumulation of this are going to, every time you do one of these steps, then you are more likely to be able to do this. And these two are all about creating the identity of you who does this particular behavior. So an affirmation might be, I'm in control of my email, or more specifically, I block chunk my handling of email into 2 30-minute slots daily. If you say that over and over and over again, you start to create the identity and belief of someone who does that, and therefore you'll become more consistent with that identity, which means you're more likely to do that behavior. Now, what doing looks like, this is a visualization exercise, and you might write something like this. I stop what I'm doing at 11 and 3, set a timer for 30 minutes, then scan my inbox for important emails. I deal with them then, and when my timer goes off, I go back to my main thing. If you visualize yourself doing that, get very, very clear on doing that, it will support the if-then statements you made earlier on. So that's the behavior worksheet that you can use. And all you've got to do, once one behavior is instilled, just rinse and repeat with the next behavior and slowly build up, make small marginal gains, which is why that's the 2nd point in the productivity improvement operating system. And this will really help you. I found this process to be absolutely vital, and it works really, really well. So it's as simple as that. The only thing that will stop you is if you let these things get in the way. Your workload, your habits, other people, lack of clarity, no clear plan of action. Or if you're just not committed enough to make the change. It really is up to you if you want it enough. And all the information to support this is in this handout. And remember, to know and not to do is not to know. Knowing this stuff isn't good enough. You've really got to start doing stuff with it, which is why I made the statement at the very beginning of our session. I want you to switch from gathering knowledge to making and changing behaviors. That's how you'll start to benefit from this information. So remember, the main takeaway: do more important work in a more focused way, more often and for longer. That's it. That's the key thing. That's what I was trying to get you to do. If you do that, more of that, you're going to get more things done, because that's what it's going to take to start creating value in your working environment. So I'm now your official personal productivity consultant. If you've got any questions about anything we've covered, or if you find yourself facing a productivity challenge in the future, then send me an email or give me a call and I'll give you an answer within 2 business days. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. I enjoy doing that, and I learn more when I do that as well. So please do utilize this. It's free. You can do this anytime you like. Now, I do have a favor to ask. Testimonials and recommendations are the lifeblood of a business, and I'd really appreciate it if you would send me an email that I can use on my website telling me what you liked about the session we had together, including the value you got and how you expect to benefit from it. Just send a couple of lines is perfect. Just send it with the subject line POF testimonial to himself at Michael Tipper. And thank you so much if you do decide to do that. I really appreciate it. And remember, if you have got any questions, still ask. I'm very happy to help you as much as I can. It's been a pleasure working with you. Really enjoyed working with you, and hopefully I'll hear from you very soon. Take care.